Hi everybody, welcome to video 14, Generativity in the Next Generation. So generativity is Erik Erikson's concept within the developmental psychology world, a theorist key in the world of psychosocial development. This stage in development in adulthood, in the age range of our 40s to our 60s, he called this stage generativity versus stagnation. Stagnation is referring to being stuck in a self-centered, self-involved pattern where you look out for the number one, yourself. It results when we feel we have nothing to give to those who come after us. An overall lack of desire around children. To have them or to interact with them, we can see stagnation as a trauma response for many. Trauma often causes emotional and relational stunting, arrested development to where the person shows up acting like a far younger person than their age. Someone more traumatized than another may take longer to get to a developmental stage or appropriate level in their relationships and in their coping. An example that illustrates stagnation in my mind is a traumatized teenager if we follow them through their lifespan to when they're 40 to 60, if the trauma lies untreated. Now, it's noteworthy that most addiction starts in teen years. So if that trauma goes untreated, they'll likely struggle to grow up and show up in their 20s and 30s and on appropriately or developmentally. They may handle stress like a teenager still. Teens, after all, are pretty egocentric or without a lot of regard for another. Adolescent egocentrism is where a teen believes that the world kind of revolves around them, or that everybody is focused on them in the way that they're focused on them. So if they spill on their shirt, they might think as they walk down the halls at school that everybody will notice, be looking at them and judging them. Where in reality, if all teens were so worried about themselves, there isn't headspace for them to be that hyper-focused on each other. This type of thinking, though, that is so involved in the self is developmentally a normal stage for teenagers. But as an adult, if they continue these cognitions and copings, it can set them apart from their peers, making them seem immature and creating relational difficulty. It can also manifest as chasing the high type of behavior, going for a rush or what is wanted in the moment without long-term thinking, saying, how could this hurt me? Are there reasons I shouldn't do this? Responsiveness isn't their jam, reactiveness is. Impulsive actions. If this were a paradigm or way of interacting with the world continues throughout their life, when they're in that 40 to 65 age range, they'll probably feel stagnation, continuing to see the world through that teenage lens and lacking a depth to relationships, being incapable of investing in the next generation as they could have without the arrested development. Now, let's go broader with this. If the world chose or found itself on this path, it would be isolatory and lonely, reactionary. We need each other and connection. That often means working through trauma, evolving in our relationships, and evolving our relational capacity. Generativity is doing something for the greater good. Usually, this sense of contributing to the world is through family or work. It can be giving in a way we don't receive back. Some examples are maybe volunteering, mentoring, teaching, and sharing what we know. Generativity with the earth is planting trees or environmental change for an earth we won't be around to see. saving her for a future them, saving what gives us life. Generativity is about the survival of the species as a whole, thinking beyond the individual and the now, giving to something that doesn't directly benefit us. Raising children is a classic example of generativity. Roles of a parent are to teach and to care for our children, sometimes protecting them from themselves and protecting them from those they interact with and in general. As a mother to a special needs child, a big part of planning within my life and my husband's consists of planning a life for our child when we're gone. It feels we're responsible to provide for 2 lifetimes, and it can weigh heavy. Generativity is part of the evolution of mankind, fighting the good fight and righting wrongs. Wrongs like racism, sexism, ageism, oppression, abuse. We still have a ways to go, and keep fighting the good fight. It's also okay to see the progress and let that motivate us to keep going. A beautiful process for mankind of moving away from it's us against them to we are them. Because after all, we all are interconnected and in this together. On a more intra-personal level within you, what do you want to leave as a legacy? What has our life been about that we want to leave and trickle down? Inside, it's finding the parts of us that have love and wisdom, our unique imprint and gifts to give, and leaving that. And as our time on earth ends, how we leave the world, how do we leave it a little better than we found it? Thanks for stopping by.